Now, when you say the name George Roddy and you're talking about Dallas real estate, that's a name anybody in Dallas real estate knows. He's kind of an institution in the industry here. And I'm assuming that you had a business card from Dr. Bain with a note on it to George Roddy saying, talk to this fellow, give him a job, and that's how you got started with George Roddy, right?
Yeah, so, after met with Dr. Bain, he said, okay, Edward, here, he took out his business card. On the back, he said, George, said, please talk to this guy, he has potential or something, and Bain, he just said Bain, and I took the card. As soon as he gave me the card, I said, thank you, I got a job. And I went to George's office and gave it to him. Once he saw it, he's like, oh, okay, who are you? What can you do? And he hired me on the spot. This was December 1986. He hired me on the spot, and I was a research associate for him. And in 3 months after I got the job, he promoted me to the research manager in charge of the entire research process, because he was so taken and impressed by what I did. And he came to me one time, he said, Edward, I know my company is small, your potential is bigger than what we can offer you here. And anytime you want to go somewhere else, let me know, and I will make a reference, I'll call. And I was like, wow, I couldn't believe that. Usually, you work in a company, and when you start to look somewhere else, your employer might feel like, oh, you are not loyal, or cannot be trusted. But George came straight and said, let me know what you want to do in real estate, and I will support you. My company is small, and that just gave me another confidence level. And he helped me when I went to work for the Federal Savings and Loan Insurance Corporation. And anytime I ever needed him for reference, for just go over there and say hello. He's always walked, I walk into his office and sit down and start talking. So it's been a great relationship, and beyond just professional assistance.
Now, George Roddy may be a small company in Dallas, but the FDIC and its predecessor, obviously now we're talking about the big time. We're talking about a very large organization. And in the late 1980s, with the financial trouble that the industry was experiencing then, and specifically in the top Texas market in Dallas, you got yourself right in the middle of a bunch of stuff happening that is pretty historic, wasn't it?
In fact, it was. And when I went to work for FDIC, Jerry Heaton, who now is a tax consultant, was my supervisor. And Jerry just, took to me and supported me. I was first as an asset manager in charge of a failed bank assets out of Oklahoma, but the Dallas office was the central regional office. So I was doing that function from Dallas. I go up there from time to time. But Jerry recognized my skill and my talent. I was the only one out of the whole asset manager that had a formal degree, college education in real estate. So in 6 months, I went to work for Fislake. I was promoted regional appraisal manager for the entire region. And this has been less than 4 years of coming to America. I was the first person that had the responsibility of appraising the assets of the failed financial institutions in the Dallas regional office. And for somebody coming from another country, it was a challenge that I welcomed, and it was a challenge I was able to do very well on because of the support I had. We all have experiences as immigrants. You're coming into a culture that oftentimes you don't know a lot of things. But somehow I've been blessed with support. One of my very good friends is Brian Bergeson. We met on the job in Dallas, Judge Rod's office. And we've been friends today. He was my best man in my wedding. I went to his own wedding. So, these are people that they like me for who I am. I'm not perfect. I'm not, better than anybody. But most people that I've had dealings with have always come forth and supported me. And so, George Roddy, Dr. Bain, Jerry Heaton, Brian Bergeson are the early instruments in my, putting a foothold in Dallas and in real estate.
Now, you talked about that you had a college degree from Nigeria when you came here, but you also have a degree from a certain American institution as well, correct?
Education is something that is ongoing for me. I went to Harvard and did a graduate program in real estate in 2005
Now,
to
let me interrupt you
2006.
for a second. This is not Harvard in Texas. This is the Harvard College.
Well,
Harvard
in Cambridge,
Cambridge, Massachusetts.
Yes.
The Harvard. Okay.
Yeah, I went to the Graduate School of Design where they have real estate, urban planning, architecture, and stuff.
Not bad for an immigrant.
Well, again, if you consider the fact that my father, at the age of 27 years old in Nigeria in 1955, built a teachers training college in my village, which is still standing today, and is one of the special science schools in my state in Nigeria, you can understand my appetite for education. It's not so much about the degree you have on the wall to denote that you've completed a program. It is the appetite for continued learning. Dallas is a college for me because there are certain neighborhoods, there are certain part of Dallas I love to go to just to get a feel. That's education for me. Most people don't know the Romaine Avenue in South Dallas is where the African Americans in Dallas built the first brick houses. And it still is. I like to drive those neighborhoods all the time. I go to South Boulevard, I go to Hamilton Park. I just pull out the Dallas land use and start to see individuals that have made a difference, individuals that created certain things in Dallas. And so that's educational. Of course, I'm not going to get a degree in Dallas something, but I learn Dallas. I go every neighborhood, every zip code. I've been there. I can safely say, of all the candidates running, I am the candidate who can go in any neighborhood to pull up a chair and sit in somebody's porch and we can have a conversation, because I love Dallas, and that has given me a wider horizon and scope as to what a leadership can do to make a difference. We some of us love some section because we achieve a comfort zone. I'm comfortable with the poor, I'm comfortable with the rich. There's nobody I don't have a conversation. Mr. Marcus Hill, a friend of mine, just said Edwards never met a stranger. And he doesn't say that because, he wanted, just want to be nice to me. But that's just my attitude in life. Everybody matters. There are 1.2 million of us in Dallas. We all have 1.2 million stories. I wish I could hear every one of those stories. But I want to get a general overview, because if you're going to step forward in the role of mayor, the mayor gets 24 hours in a day just like everybody else. But there are certain presence you need to have to assure the people that you are here as a listener to their issues. And you ought to say, what can we do together? How do we make the difference so that you feel you are part of this system? And I think that's the best thing any servant leader can do for their community. It's not an emperor position. It's not a know-it-all kind of position. No, it is a dialogue. It's a back and forth. How do we sprinkle the resources we have? And our resources is finite. This is about the taxes we collect from the various taxing functions. It's about the fines. It's about some other grants we may get from the state as well as the federal government. That's just about all the money we're going to get. So that money is finite. So if we write everybody a check, does it solve all the problems? No, it will never. If everybody is made a millionaire, does it mean we don't have people that are still going to have need? So the role of leadership is to constantly be responsive, as well as accountable, as well as responsible, so that people will feel, wow, you are doing... when people say you are doing the best for us, that best doesn't mean you've given them money. It is that you may have awakened something in their spirit to give them a sense of belonging, to say, come on, let's go do it. Let's pick up the hose and shovel, and let's go make our neighborhood good. So that's what I have learned in America. And it goes to reinforce what my father told me, what my parents taught me before coming here. The schools I love to go. I mean, my wife always saying, okay, when are you going to go to Oxford? Because I was admitted in Oxford to do an executive program, but I haven't had a chance to do it. And she wanted to say, you need to go to law school. And as long as there's a breath in me, I'm always going to be learning. Because the more you learn, the more you can appreciate what people have done or what is possible. And when you recognize what is possible, now you go to what is probable, because probability now determines the outcome. So what are the outcome? And the outcome for us is to make a Dallas that it doesn't matter whether it's north, east, south, west, downtown, is a Dallas. You and I, David, and some other friends can go to Martin Luther King Boulevard, pull into a restaurant there, sit down and have a coffee, and don't be concerned about some other things that we may have perceived is going to happen. That's the Dallas we want. But right now, you and I, we may not be able to go there because we don't have those sort of facilities. If you look at the area considered a dark triangle in Dallas, what do you see? But these are an opportunity. Needs are opportunities for businesses, isn't it? What we are taught.
Now, when you say the dark triangle, what geographic area in Dallas are you talking about? Because when you told me about that earlier, I didn't even know the specific area that you were referring to.
Well, you know, the term dark is like there's no light. No light has been shown in this area. And for the geographic reference, I'm talking about the area 45 to 20 from downtown. And then you take 35 connecting with Woodrow Rogers. I mean, use that sort of area, you know, with the Trinity River, the canyon, and go 35 to 20, and then to 20 to 45. That's what I consider the dark triangle, because if you look at that section of Dallas over the past 25 years and look at the amount of invested public fund in it, it has received the least. Now, so that's an opportunity for Dallas. That's an opportunity for any business person. And if we can go overseas and help countries that are struggling, how about that right there in our own neighborhood? You know, can we give others with what we are not willing to give ourselves? I think charity has to start from home. And even in North Dallas, there are pockets of areas in North Dallas that need help. But you know, you want to do, when you have a 5-bedroom house and 2 of the rooms are doing well or 3 of the rooms are doing well, now where's your focus going to be? Is it on the ones that are already doing well, or is it in the world that needs a little help so that everybody can look like they're in harmony?
Now, when you talk about a 5-bedroom house, you're referring to north, south, east, west,
downtown. Yeah, that's the 5-bedroom house of Dallas. And you know, we refer to those, where do you live?
North Dallas.
Where do you know, so I would say right. East Dallas, and then I could be referring to Lakewood, and then South Dallas I could be referring to right. Oak Cliff or South Dallas Fair Park area, or West Dallas I'm referring to Singleton, you know, Sullivan area. Right. You know, so that's the 5-bedroom house of Dallas. So let's make all the 5-bedroom house as good and as beautiful as they can be. And it's not in competition, but more in complement. How do we complement each other? I mean, when you are into the resource management aspect of public fund, you're always looking for the highest and best use application of your resources. Because highest and best use, where do you apply that single dollar to create the biggest impact? Recognizing that that impact could vary. It could be a 5% in the north and that would be good. It could be 2% in the south and that could be good. So how do you deploy those resources to achieve a sort of impetus, a sort of uptake in that invested dollar that will attract everything? I mean, in science, the opposite attracts. Is that what we're taught in physics, chemistry, and biology? The opposite attracts. But in economics, money attracts itself. Because if you put up a dollar, what happens? 20 cents might come to it. But you have to put up that dollar for another, which becomes a return. So money becomes fungible as an investment tool once you pledge it, once you put it up. And so how do we put up all these resources in various aspects, sections of Dallas to begin to achieve?
I was just going to say,